and to come into our work session
Depending on
again.
What we do. as part
Motion to
this
move
other
out of
plan.
closed session, go into public.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're back in an open work session here. Well, just a work session. We're at the Saddlewood Subdivision. We have Ryan Stokes, Tammy Adelot, Tucker Wake, Steve Burton, Sean Wilkinson, Shane Bartholomew. Bartholomew?
Yep.
Excuse me. Bartholomew. Fancy. Oui. Okay, Scott or Jim Flint. I'm gonna have Tammy, why don't you lead out on this, will you?
Okay,
Or Gary, you want to lead out? What? Doesn't matter.
Either way, Tammy's free.
so we received a request from the commissioners last week to reevaluate the connection of 5100 West, either adjacent or through this Saddlewood subdivision. I believe it was the developers that kind of wanted to get on.
Well, I'd like, can we put this up?
Hold on.
Oh.
Let's make sure we're catching things here. That's all right. I trust Steve.
He's a baseball guy.
You also play hockey when you're young boy.
Yeah, it was a young boy because them eyes went like that when that mouse.
So you may recall on Friday, maybe it was Thursday, or anyway, it was last part of last week, you guys visited about 5100 and the need for that to go through.
Oh, yeah.
This is down by the Pinea greenhouses in through there.
Oh, I know where we're talking
Now we
here.
know.
Now, you guys are the guys a little further south of that, right? Wanting to develop that up there. Are you guys the property to the east? Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And
We did have this discussion.
And so when we visited with the developer about your request, they wanted to visit with you a little bit about.
That's why we have these work meetings.
Yep.
So you can come in and do that.
Why did you get to the maps like that and not through GeoGizmo?
That is true.
I usually have a bookmark on here. I just click on
Okay.
it.
I just wondered, as I get to them, I get to it a different way. It's all I'm asking. Okay. So you wanted to visit with us about that. Ryan?
Yeah.
Are you the one that's gonna make lead the presentation on your point, or
Be or Jim, whatever. Yeah. doesn't matter.
well, go ahead.
Okay, Jim could do it too. What we did is we had, we went through a pretty lengthy, probably last 3 months. During the summer, we kind of contemplated this whole connection, 5100. At the end of the day, Ropalato kind of spun his wheels against the county zoning. And then we have an email that says he was absolutely adamantly against anything going through his property.
Who was that?
From Ropalato or from Pinea?
From Pinea,
Well, that's two different guys.
yeah.
That's,
We
they
were
don't have
dealing with
little
all of
section.
Yeah, there's two, we have to deal with both property owners.
Right.
Randy and-
Yeah.
Ropalato here.
Because Ropalato wants to work with you right now.
Well, it was a very circular process.
Yeah,
He
and
was trying to get something beyond.
he's repented of his bad feelings towards you. And he stepped forward now and says, look, I was wrong. We want to work.
If it wasn't such a financially time-sensitive issue, we'd love to work with him. But what we did is we had to redesign everything to come through the south because Pinea wasn't willing to play. It could have worked 3 or 4 months ago because we could have designed the whole subdivision to come up through here and bring the utilities that way. But now at this late stage, and they've got very time-sensitive real estate transactions going on. We've gone full bore. I think I could say we're 98% there.
Planning
For the
commission.
full
Weird. Yeah.
23-page set of plans.
Yeah, we're.
Well, yeah, but even with that, Pinea, they're still not willing to work.
That was our understanding all.
Yeah, Ropalato was who I was referring to.
Yeah.
Not Pinea. No, he's still a no. So this is, that piece you've got carved out. I don't know how you'll get by that without taking.
We've got this email really, sorry to be so blunt, But the road will not go through until we develop the property. We have no plans to ever to do that.
Who is that from?
This is from
Just
Renee.
Brian.
Yeah.
Brian? Is it from Brian?
Is it Brian Gold for Canaan?
Yes.
Yeah,
What do they do with it? They have the
you got the greenhouse.
greenhouse. Okay. All right.
I think what Jim's trying to say is there was months of back and forth between the county and also between adjacent property owners about where this road should align. It sounds like the adjacent property owners previously didn't want to have that conversation. So you went this route. We've gotten subdivision approvals from the planning commission, improvement drawings. What stage are you currently at? Just like looking to get the bond into the county and then record the plat?
Yeah, we're ready to record.
Well, they still need to go through final with the county commission,
Right.
I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't seen it. or
We need the
this.
bond before it goes to you guys, right? Yeah.
So there was a very good faith effort made to make this. order.
Oh, look, we understand Panea. Don't worry about that.
So that was the issue, was where do we take that road?
Yeah, where does it curve? Because at some point it does have to curve back down here.
Go back to that overview again, right there, yeah.
Do you guys recall, and I apologize for jumping in if I stepped over you, Commissioner.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to kind of get some input from the developers and Jim, what Randy's opinion or position was in the beginning, Randy Rocoletto. What was his stance on this? Was he
wanted the road to go in, but the biggest thing he wanted from you guys was changing the use of his property. He wanted to rezone it commercial. And you guys were not gonna allow that to happen. The only way he was gonna move forward and justify is if he could get it switched over to commercial, and that's why we drug our feet with him to that point, was because he was basing you guys doing something in order for him to make it work for himself. And that was made mention to him right at the bat, that was not gonna change as far as changing that zoning to commercial. And by doing that, it pretty much cut his losses or cut the expenses that he was planning on based on what he thought the value of his property would be if that was changed. There.
Would have been spot zoning a C2 zone right in the middle of A1, A2.
Yeah, that wasn't gonna happen.
So to kind of back up then, commissioners, and tell the story, that's why the decision was made to go the direction it's gone, how we got here. And it sounds like since that point of discussion, Randy has probably approached you guys and mentioned he'd like to go backwards.
That's exactly what he's done.
And from our meeting that we had with,
And his thinking, the reason he says that is because he's thinking now, at least if he could split a road going in there, he could sell off residential lots.
Well, and from their perspective, decisions were made, money was spent, designs were done to get
Sure.
to accommodate both Pinea and Randy. And then at the last minute, being asked to reconsider.
Go back to that other map, will you please, Steve? Thank you. What concerns, I'll give you mine. Can you move this so I can see this road a little better, please? Thank you. What concerns me, gentlemen, so you, whether you move here, let me move over here so it's easier for you to see. What concerns me is 5100 is here, 5100 is up there, comes down here. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry for those up behind me here. I see, and I'm not a planner, but these, and I realize that this does not line up perfectly, but I see this connecting somehow, some way like this in the future. With the plan of our growth going out west, we have a huge mega site further out west that is developing now. It's moving forward. These houses will be very popular. With that development will come what we're calling the West Weaver Corridor, Legacy Highway, West Davis Corridor, West Weaver Corridor, that Legacy Highway continuing all the way through there. 5100, one of these streets up in here will eventually connect to that corridor. We don't know which one. There hasn't even been an environmental study done on it. But we know that there'll be something connecting in here that'll connect. And so this is critical to go through. So, and I respect that you put a lot of time and energy on this, but this has to go through. Now, we're not likely gonna force Pioneer to sell their property, at least right now. But eventually this has to go through. Normally speaking, when two opposite neighbors oppose one another, that in a situation like this, to my understanding, what I've learned from y'all is that road is split. So right now, from my perspective, and I'm just one of the three, I'm for making sure that this goes through and that this is split one between the two, or this road split between the two. That's my opinion. Commissioner Frohr, Commissioner Jenkins, you two may have a different opinion, but that's so you know that's where I am.
So. Well, this doesn't change anything for Randy. Randy still, he's got a piece of property that he can't get into because the road. There's a piece of property right
Yeah,
there.
show that little piece that's.
A little teeny one.
Yeah.
You may have to put on another layer to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, this will work.
There it is.
Yeah, I can't remember if that's actually owned by Panea.
That's what it
Or
shows.
it's owned by Cottle.
It shows, I think it's.
Yeah, it's that little square right there. Click on that and it'll say who owns it.
So
It's
this
quite
has
angry,
Pioneer.
yes. Yep.
Yeah. 3,400 square feet. Did you guys try to buy that?
It's on the opposite side of the property
Is
line.
it?
There was no compelling reason to get it.
Okay.
Yeah, so you see what that does? That locks.
here.
Yeah,
Exactly where it is.
that locks Randy right out. Now, do you view him as having a right of way through
He
a
might
prescriptive right
have
of way
some
there?
type of prescriptive easement through there, but that.
Well, when you drive up, he's got a gate and a fence with a gate on it, and I'm sure you'd argue that's how we get in. And it is how they get in. There's no other access into that property other than that.
Where's the gate?
Right there, right there. That gate's on that, between there and there. There's a gate right there.
So that blocks Randy off.
That's right. Yeah, he has no other access on that whole thing. Gate.
But the gate is owned by Pioneer though, right?
No, I think it's Randy's gate.
Is it Randy's gate?
Randy has that
Well, that's, well, if he's got prescriptive rights, he has access, he just can't do anything until he takes ownership of that for a public road or for development purposes.
Right.
It's not stopping him from getting into his property now.
No, it's not. But so Randy's argument here is he'd like to split that road right down there. He'd like to do that right now. And that would allow traffic to go down there and allows him to put houses in here. So Randy would do that today.
And nobody is cutting that option off from him. We're just
Well,
saying-
so what's happening though, is by you backing your property up in there, he would have to buy 30 feet of the rear property of every one of those lots
Okay.
to make that happen.
It would be, it'd be a little bit too abrupt of a change. Right there, Tammy's got the maps.
I go on right here.
We purposely put a non-access strip along here, no access. So,
For future,
yeah. So but we kind of vetted
I don't
everything.
see that.
Oh,
access.
so here, no access. Otherwise, we'd have double frontage on these lots.
Oh,
Yeah.
a no access strip. I
Right,
see what
yeah.
you're talking about. Well, that's exactly what you were talking about, Commissioner, not wanting.
No, I thought it would be eventually if I had one of those lots, I'd want access to the back, put a garage back there. I'd be able to get to my house from the front and the back. Pretty
Jim?
quick.
Jim, how wide is 5100 west on the north side of 1900 south?
Up there,
Yeah, how much is dedicated there?
It is 66 feet to the Cottle subdivision, then you're right, it does. It does angle back to be centered on this section line. So there is a 33-foot offset between the north and the south.
So would that 33 feet for future cut into your property then?
Well, what we'd like, Tammy's got a map. We would like to just leave
intersection.
No,
It wouldn't cut into their property, no, I think it would just.
Leave
fall
the
along that
curve
same-
in, this is the one we
this
prefer.
shows the curve
Hey, see,
going on to
What's the
Mr.
difference?
Gold's
How they-
property.
It's the same width, it just puts the, everything on Panea for all the rectifying. We're dedicating this 33 feet. So this would come down here, then we got to curve it over 33 feet somewhere.
It looks like it takes in a little bit of a couple of your lots.
There's two different maps here,
It's two
Gage.
different maps.
Oh, so this is the one you like.
We like this because it's
For
only
sure.
dealing,
Yeah,
it
you're
kind
not,
of takes a two owner problem, condenses it down to one.
But this puts all that on Randy.
Yeah, if it's all 60.
yeah, and that's what Randy was complaining about. You know, this was created a little bit by Randy. I agree with what you're saying. He was so slow to come to the table here.
We tried to work with him 6 months.
Yeah. And now he's decided it's in his best interest. It's like, well, man, we've moved on. Randy?
you offered this up to him before to split the road.
Oh, yeah. We offered this, and the only reason when we were talking with Tammy and everybody is because Brian Gold, we're already putting a lot on this table with the infrastructure for 1900 to 2200. And if Brian Gold wasn't gonna come to the table and discuss this, then the return was gonna happen on his property when it did happen. Because in fact, that road cannot continue through until Brian Gold does something with it. So because he didn't come to the table and we talked with Randy, we moved forward out of it, and everybody was on the same basis that this is what we were gonna do, because Brian Gold wasn't gonna come. The turn can still happen on his property since he didn't want to come to the table to discuss terms. And that was something you guys could strong hold him down the road.
Yeah.
And that's why we did it.
So you offered the deal to split the road with him originally.
So that puts everything back
Yes.
on.
Before you
Yeah.
did, before you
Well,
filed.
that's what Randy's saying now. So I don't
I
want that.
gotta give up 33 feet to everyone.
This was discussed with Mr. Ripolato prior to preliminary approval back in July.
Well, it looks to me
Months
like Randy's created his own mess here.
Well, he has kind of, but Randy represents the fact that he's back. And he did it before all this. It's not too late to stop it.
Yeah, we talked to them all about connectivity incentivized, maybe getting a few more lots out of this.
Not yet.
One of
So
the,
we've got a subdivision, I think you guys are familiar with the subdivision code that says if you put your roads in the layout that planning wants you to, you can get the area back in the right of way that you lost to count towards your lots.
Right.
And so just that might be an option to make up for the time lost, if it's possible, maybe a couple of lots.
we appreciate, there's a kind of compelling backdrop to all this. Can you kind of take this down a little bit? Upper irrigation is requiring that their secondary water line be in a public street right away. So because of that, just a little bit more. This wasn't a preferred option on the redesign. We put in this street, which now has all the utilities in it, which to just do just to do the right of way dedication to Randy, isn't that crushing of a deal? But because of the need to have our utilities in the public road right of way, we either need to go all this direction full board and eliminate this. We can't do both of them. That's what Randy put us in a very awkward position. So we spent the last 4 months doing this, avoiding wetlands, crossing a slough. That's the position we're in right now. So that's kind of the, I feel like there either needs to be a condemnation of Panea, and then we go full bore into 5100.
You don't
Or we
want to
stick with this.
If we do that, that'll take a year and a half. That'll slow you guys up so much.
Yeah. So we don't want that.
Yeah.
Just as you wouldn't want us to condemn your property. We're
Yeah.
pretty slow.
Well, I'm not opposed to doing it. It is slow.
It just takes a
slow.
while. Yeah, on that particular, I'd probably be in favor of that 3,400 square feet. But, yeah, that doesn't solve your problem.
Exactly.
And they're already through planning commission on this?
Yes.
They're ready to post $3 million bond.
Oh, we knew this would be coming.
Yeah, we did. Well, it looks like Randy's lot is about 600.
I'm okay with this.
This one?
He's got 5 acres in a 81.
This one or the other one?
This one, that, so they don't have to cut into these lots.
And that puts everything on to Randy.
Yeah.
60.
We better find out what the rodeo guy up here wants.
That's the thing with Randy too, that we found out. I mean, he kinda-
677
Randy kinda put
feet.
himself in that
We're looking at two
predicament
different
when
maps
Randy
here.
got
I know,
sold a
doesn't
lot.
matter. I was looking at the
Right,
depth.
and so he's put himself
Between
in this predicament over
Randy's,
time.
into Randy's property and up here where they start is 677 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, from here to here?
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's what I
he
thought.
sold a good share of that to me, right?
Yeah, he should
You
have,
wanna
he should
wrap
have done
that
development
spread
back
so
then
it
before he
would
did.
probably
what
cost Mr. Repalato to put
He's
in
kinda
all of
painted
that
himself
to
in that
county
corner.
standard. It's about 170,000
Is it?
for that 700. This was a few months ago with a bid that was submitted by Mr. Flint. So.
Well, what Randy's, I'll tell you his thinking. I sat and talked to him about this in depth. And he's thinking, yeah, he always wants to sell this for a little commercial piece, you know, something out there. He views it as it was commercial. And I agree, it was a permitted ag use in an ag zone, being a turkey farm. But it was awfully close to commercial use. And so what he's thinking now is, geez, it looks to me like my only hope here is to get 6 or 7 building permits out of there, building lots, which he's saying if I had a road there, I could at least do that.
And now it's gonna cost him, instead of half the cost of the road, it's gonna cost him all the money.
Yeah, all the way on the road.
We've got an application in right now to rezone that to M2 manufacturing. We found
Really?
out- Yeah, there's, yeah.
He
We're still
does,
trying to.
but our plan, it doesn't give an option for that, so he'd have to amend the general plan before he could rezone
That's pretty high use for
that
that location.
area.
I think he
And I
knows
don't,
it's a little.
Plus, we got a bunch of
M.
M2 coming on board.
yeah, I don't think that's probably the best location for him to.
I agree.
Yeah, but it is a very unusual piece. I mean, it's just a junkyard right now.
Yeah.
Before you guys get building, I'd really like to see him set fire to that. Well, really, it's just a bunch of old wood. I'm not sure he can haul it away. I know he told me right out, he'd checked with the fire department about burning it before. But he's let those greenhouses get so close to him now, I'm not sure he could do it.
Be a liability
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah, that's like I said, when we talked with Randy, we found out a lot with Randy, and like I was just talking with him on right now, Randy sold a lot of that property to Panay. And so what he's got left, he's put himself in that predicament. So regardless if it works for him or not, wasn't really on our basis, it was what he did
What he did.
himself.
That's a good point.
So,
Well, Mr. Chair, I'm okay. You know, to me, a couple of issues here. They tried to work with us, a self-imposed hardship by Randy, it appears to me. I think as long as they're willing to dedicate, so we don't have the same situation down here in the future, I'm okay with the plan they proposed.
We got 2 plans here. You're okay with this plan?
I'm
here.
okay with the one.
So it all puts it on Panan.
Right? Well, it's not gonna make a ton of difference, whichever plan, you take a little bit into those existing lots. It's not gonna make much difference in Randy's cost for that road. He still has to do the 66 feet.
Well, and Panay's a hard no.
Well,
So
nothing's gonna happen.
until, yeah, and
Nothing's
so,
gonna happen until Panea goes.
right, so until the day comes that he wants to develop that.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, that could be 10, 15 years down the road,
So are you making a motion?
Or 20.
if you need one.
I'd like to just be clear, which one of these 2?
What do you call this?
That's not the latest.
Number 2 as marked.
Hold on, listen to.
Well, that is not the latest plat. Steve's
Oh,
got it
really?
pulled up because
Yeah.
you'll see a cul-de-sac stub to the south.
You're
That continues
saying
The
through.
curve, yeah, we're talking
Yeah.
about where to put the curve, and that shows on that option.
Yeah, the
On this
road
one.
layout
On that
was
one there.
Hold on.
You'll see
Which
the,
is
Oh.
very interesting because the whole purpose of
Yeah.
the cul-de-sac was to,
Oh, I'm
the
with
whole
you.
purpose of this cul-de-sac was because you didn't want an intersection that close.
Yeah, we want intersection.
Here's another problem I got with with what you're holding in your left hand, Gage. You have that in your new, you have your new projections right here. Can you pull that back up, please, Steve? I'll just show you right here.
Show me what you're.
You have this new road right here.
So this is the latest.
This is the latest one here.
Yeah.
This switch in that road is gonna bend right here. That's what you were saying, but this road, he gets to take advantage of whatever goes into there. You know, so there ought to be some kind of share from you guys, in my mind, with what Randy does here, if he has to put all that back onto him. Because you'll be able to take advantage. People now start to use this road to get back to 5100.
We're doing a bunch of things. We're bringing sewer, water and secondary to his doorstep. And that sewer is extremely expensive. It's coming from 2200 south.
I got it. Yeah.
It's
You are-
2,000
that's
feet.
true.
No, they're bringing that to his doorstep.
Free utilities.
true. That's worth a little more.
Tremendously expensive. 12-inch line.
Boy, you got.
16 feet.
Well, I don't see the difference between these two.
It's really good.
Tell me what,
It's just the road. So instead of having the road coming down, this was their original idea where they wanted to come down this way to cul-de-sac here.
oh,
They had to do the road here. now.
no, okay.
Yeah, so the only difference to the roads. here.
Correct.
No, I'm just talking, I'm
If
talking
these
about,
guys-
Yeah, that's
I'm just-
exactly the same.
I'm just talking about 5100.
Yeah, we could put that
Why
same.
don't we
map.
allow?
Yeah, so this is what I'm proposing for, you know, obviously, they'd have to bring this road through. Doesn't interfere with that. We've got to have this dedicated for future. roads.
You're gonna get him an easement to tap into those utilities.
It's automatically,
You have
He
this.
gets
in
some
the
crap
package.
for
because
those.
of-
Well, and that's something we need to look at with the general plan.
Yeah, in the general
I think
plan,
that's
we
a
need to
killer,
look
is
at.
the sewer is coming thousands of
And have
feet.
incentives when that's
I get
there. that
Yeah.
allows for much-
Tim,
This is
just to
It's an
about right.
outside sewer.
Trust.
And that double what they're doing.
Yeah.
Trust, verify. Cam, would Mr. Ropalato be able to get right into the sewer right here without any fees? Does he need any easements or anything like that? If you were able to sewer, water, whatever, it's under the road?
I'm
It'll be,
not
it'll be our
sure.
right of way,
Yeah,
so we'll
we-
let them get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he shouldn't have any issue accessing.
There will-
the right of it.
There will be we're gonna do a similar agreement that we did with, where we pay back the off-site sewer improvements. So depending on how many units, Chad and I are gonna do the calculations, how many units can hook up to the sewer because they're running it so deep and this far. They'll get paid back the off-site improvements.
Just for those few.
Yeah, so if there's 100 units that can collect it, each unit have to pay that fee back.
That's fair. Okay, so let's go with your motion again.
So my motion as proposed here on,
Hold on now, before you make a motion, this hasn't even been presented to us as a commission.
No, and
No.
we just want to get direction.
But they want
from
direction.
this Work session, where you want us to go with this. Because
So
last
does
week.
that need to be done by motion or can we just tell them?
We can just tell
I'm okay not making a motion, so, but basically,
them this one.
I'm in, if this came to us in a final mission addressed like that, I would vote yes.
I just want to make sure the property owner to the west of these guys, currently held by Ropalato, can get into those utilities with whatever this little bit of share is there.
And you represent to us on 2,000, you're gonna take those right to that property.
Yeah, it shows in the-
All the way to the
Yeah.
property line.
I would vote for that too.
Okay, well, there you go. Okay, there's your direction.
All right.
Okay, I think you got your directions.
You're gonna have to handle Randy.
Well, so you're telling us right out, the Randy came to you and did not want to work in the beginning.
Yeah, we sat in a meeting, there's a few of us that obviously were here, and they mentioned, look, we're bringing a sewer right to your doorstep. And he's like, that would, like, he didn't take that into account, that they're bringing in that sewer from that far. They want to work.
Well, that's a miscalculation on his part.
Why is me?
Forrest Gump, you ought to watch that movie.
Put your running shoes on.
All right, it ain't about the
Hey,
chocolate.
thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen. Thank you. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
All right,
That's too
That's
bad.
wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Congratulations. 9 more years. All right, our next one, commissioners, is Project Imagine Planning Commission recommendation and discussion. Our very own Rick Grover, Liam Keough, Charlie Ewart, and Scotty Purse. Where's Scotty P?
Okay. So in the planning commission that we had, we just wanted to update you on exactly what happened.
I think I got a pretty good update from Charlie,
Yeah, and I think you
and
also.
I got one from the other side.
Yes.
But let me take, okay, go ahead, because Gage and I have already talked about this, and so has Scott. We got an answer for
What
you.
are we talking about?
This is the project, Imagine What Happened in the Planning Commission. We talked about this a little bit when we were in St.
Oh,
George.
that's right. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, Scott, why don't you, if you're okay, Commissioner?
just hit the bullet points, right?
Yeah.
We're there.
So I gave you, this is just their motion. The motion was to approve the text amendment and the rezone. It's a little bit of a split decision, 4-2. They were still positive, but they had some concerns. Those concerns are mostly
4-2. I thought it said 6-2 here.
4-2. Yeah, I missed that, sorry. 6 voted, 4
Oh,
in favor, 2 against. Yeah, sorry, typo there. So it's 4 in favor, 2 opposed to the motion. The motion was to pass a positive recommendation to the commission. They had some concerns, obviously, on some of the protections and wanting to make sure they weren't limiting development out there, but
how come your guy voted against it?
Well, I've got some, he told me why.
Okay. Anyway,
so looking forward.
My guy, it's the whole planning, it's my full planning commission.
yeah, this is yours. I got one of my
Too.
own.
It's not even in my portfolio.
All right, sorry about that.
No, you're okay. So we've got a positive recommendation. Looking at the future schedule, we've got a holiday coming up, but we're thinking maybe we could get in front of you guys at a regular meeting on maybe the 30th, maybe sometime in.
Of
into
December?
November, maybe into December. Kind of depends on how the other pieces of the puzzle come together. But do you guys want any specifics on the discussion that they had?
No, but I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like for the Weaver County Commission and the Planning Commission or commissions to meet quarterly
Oh, okay.
so that we can update them. We'll have you folks here involved. Like to have Stephanie involved.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we need to just, it's a, whether we call it a work session or just a round table, we need to bring them up on things that we're working on and
Yeah.
things coming down, and that way we can enlist their expertise and their knowledge as well, not just taking it ourselves. So quarterly, I'd like to get that with our staff, but I'd like a joint session with all of them.
Okay.
As much in the daytime as we can.
Yeah, I like it too. Even
Figure
if we
that
did a
out.
little later in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get that going.
We got to be able to do that quarterly. We're all in favor of that, and so I think if we could do that, that'd be great. Like to get that started right away.
Would you like one before the end of the year?
If it's a possibility, but if nothing, then in the first quarter of next year at the latest, but for sure. Whatever can work out with everybody's schedule.
Okay.
What are you talking about here?
Planning Commission and the commission working together quarterly.
Meet with the planning commission.
I agree with that.
And I think that might even be good if we could get it done this year, because then we could also talk about the general plan as well.
That's
Yeah.
exactly the reason. And a lot of the reason that a couple of those people voted no is because we just need to inform them a little more.
Mhm.
I'll take that responsibility as chair on myself. We need to teach them and inform them. This is what we got going on. This is why we're doing what we're doing. This is what we're thinking. I think if any, and then they could share with us a little bit too. Kind
So
of a
what
back
did they
and
vote
forth.
no on?
2 of them
Project
voted
Imagine.
no on Project Imagine, 4 were in favor of it. So
Why would they vote
approved.
no on this? Health and industrial side is zoned for it, everything's set up.
They felt that we were planning, staff was fast tracking this through the process and it was being pushed through and
So they're doing it out of an emotional feeling?
there was one individual that had an emotional. feeling.
Yeah.
I don't understand this. I just don't understand it.
You did a beautiful job getting this report ready. Thank you.
I mean, this is exactly why we do what we do. And when they say we're fast tracking it, the point is, we absolutely are fast tracking.
Absolutely.
Well, but it's no,
We
But
would
we're not-
argue that.
We're not up zoning, we're down zoning.
Right.
I mean, anybody from a planning, okay, you're taking a M3 zone that could allow manufacture rocket fuel out there down to a more manageable use for those residents.
this, I realized that this was put in there when Thiokol was at its heyday back in the
Anyway.
seventies. You're right, Commissioner, but this is where we are today. We need to, and it would have been, I think we'd have had 100% unanimous if we have been, in one sense, we're fast tracking, but in the other
right.
sense, hold on, but the other sense of the thing, we have been fast tracking. We've been working on this deal for how many months? Since we were one of 80, then one of 40, then one of 8.
Well, yeah, a year.
A year now.
So I think those kind of things we could get ahead of and just say, hey, this is happening. Because it's likely we'll do another fast track here soon, but we need to bring them up to speed. And I think a quarterly meeting with the planning commissions is a good way to do that.
How come
Well, they could
McCormick's
be-
not on here?
They can be Zoom or they can be whatever.
McCormick, he was not in the meeting.
So
Okay.
Jed, remember Jed McCormick, he's Uncle Jed. He's no longer on the commission.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
He's what?
Resigned.
He's no longer, he resigned.
So he did?
Resign.
I thought Bruce
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Bruce
Nielsen.
resigned.
Bruce Nielsen resigned, not
Nielsen?
Jed.
Was it?
I might have mistaken. So then it would have been Jed who wasn't.
So
present.
this.
Yeah, that's
what I
right.
was
So the-
thinking it was Jed. I knew
Okay.
one of them.
Yeah,
did.
Nelson.
So this should have been McCormick that was absent. That's
McCormick's
right.
absent, Nielsen's no longer on.
Right,
Yeah, that's right.
that's the deal.
And
Yeah.
Commissioner,
Correct those.
Commissioner Call is the new.
Correct,
replacement.
correct.
Oh, yeah, that's,
Love his Barbara.
yeah, that's
Anyway,
sure hard to.
Commissioner Call, he voted against it. I thought you said he was real progressive.
he is. He's
I
watching
Apparently
out
not
for
too
us.
progressive.
Well, just, hey, look,
Yeah, I want to know the story behind that. Look at the
Okay.
back page.
great.
Well,
Okay, never mind.
Taking some heat.
Okay, anyway, we're good to go.
His ideas were really good and it got us to back to this meeting. I think
But
it's really
I,
good.
I agree with Chair Hart. Those meetings with the planning commission, you know, we can kind of let them know what our, you know, what's happening out there and really what the vision for that area is, which is big, so.
Perfect. We'll get something set up.
Good, right?
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you. Let's move on if we can. Well, not quite yet. In just a few minutes, we'll have Brian Cowan joining us with our COVID weekly update. You're welcome to grab whatever you'd like to on your way out.
You have a piece of chicken. Well, you got 5 minutes? I can do it.
Saunter, yeah, you're gonna make a call? You got a call. What's his name still?
I'm gonna call him right after we get through the COVID.
Scott and I got a meeting.
You do?
Yeah. Do you? You might have to have a meeting too, 2:30.
No, what have you got?
Convention visitors. Bureau.
No, I've got one at 3 with the health department. On nitrates.
Hey, look, are you guys wanting to attend the Christmas tree jubilee on November 23rd?
I usually do, but I'm not. I would
The
go,
33,000 students of Weaver School District would thank you.
well, I've bought plenty of trees there in the past, but.
Yeah.
They want a commission table? Is that the idea?
Uh-huh. I told them yes.
All right, count me in.
Okay. And you're a,
I'm a stick in the mud right now.
all right. Why? You didn't get 2-1. Oh, gee, that's right over my.
November what?
Tuesday, November 23rd. You know,
We don't have a commission meeting that day?
it's at the night.
Well, we got.
Wait a second. Yeah, we do. We have a
Yeah,
commission meeting at
5:30.
6 o'clock that night.
Six, yeah.
Yeah, oh,
We can't go.
we'll have to, depends on how long our meeting goes.
Well, it's a public hearing, isn't it? Is that why we're
Yeah,
holding it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll probably walk over after. Providing they're not done.
Well, they won't be done. You know, the auction goes on.
No. Well, yeah, that's true. Hey, Gage?
Yeah.
That's the night of our, public hearing.
Oh. I thought the 23rd sounded familiar.
Yeah, it's 1, 1, 2, 3.
What time's our public hearing start?
6, I think. 6 o'clock.
So we can still do it, we just be a little late.
Yeah, well, they got the tree, open social. Yeah, let's look, take a look.
I don't imagine that public hearing will take longer than an hour, will it?
I
guess you
It
don't know.
depends if Scott's girlfriend Carolyn decides to show up.
Right. Good point.
Right. 23rd. Says 5:30 on my calendar, Shelley Hallisey.
For the.
There might be
public hearing or
yeah, it might just be the commission meetings at 5:30, the public hearings at 6.
Could be.
Let's see, 5 o'clock is the tree room opens. Tree room opens and social begins.
But they don't usually start the dinner till 7 or.
Yeah, that's correct. And then the 7 o'clock is when it says the dinner's gonna be. Dinner and auctions at 7 o'clock.
Well, I'll still do it. Gloria usually likes that.
You know, I think it's pretty awesome that our girls donate their time and money to do a tree for that every year.
Are they doing a tree again?
Yeah, and so
Oh.
I invited them to sit at the table too, the Shelley, Stacy, and Christy and their husbands too, so that'll work out good.
Well.
It's a
so-
table for 10, that works out great.
Well, if we've got room, great. If we don't, that's great. too.
That's okay too, right, that's how we'll likely be late.
Yeah, that works.
I imagine we're gonna have a few people at the place. But maybe not.
You mean, oh, at the public hearing?
Yeah.
I would imagine. Yes, sir.
Did you bring your truck and trailer home?
I did, yeah. Yeah. $160 later.
Because of the fuel?
Yeah. $85 to fill that thing.
185?
When you count both ways. Yeah, it doesn't get real good gas mileage pulling that trailer.
Is it a cargo?
What?
Snowmobile trailer?
Snowmobile trailer, yeah. Harley trailer, yep. Yeah, I took both my bikes down, so they're both in St. George now.
I saw that.
That's right, you saw it, yeah.
Did you even fire it up when you were down there?
I did, I actually went, took the car back to Gloria the one day that I rode. I took her car and then went back and got the Harley and rode it back. That after, what was it, Thursday afternoon?
Friday.
Friday afternoon, yeah. The temperature was pretty good.
Sorry, I think I like my phone.
Uh-oh.
Chair.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, that's
Put it-
not property of Weaver County.
What's that? Yeah, exactly. You can have it, really.
Yeah. Just make sure you answer, right?
Exactly. Take care of the calls.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah,
See ya.
thanks.
Ryan coming on?
Here in just a minute. And then, there's something else I was gonna tell you too.
Hey, did you get your booster, Scott?
I did.
Yeah, me
Have
either.
you?
Mhm.
You know, I'm gonna ask Brian about that today. There's quite an article in that Epic Times over the weekend that I read that talked about how the unvaccinated, that infections are down there and the vaccinated infections are up right now.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, and you know, they said, well, this is really a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And the article was saying that it's really kind of split away now, and it's the vaccinated that are having trouble, not the unvaccinated.
I have a hard time believing because what
Really?
Brian's told us in the past, that the hospitalizations, 90% of the hospitalizations are the unvaccinated. But we have Mr. Cowan
There we go.
online with us now.
Now you can ask him.
We're in a good place. Mr. Cowan, thanks for joining us for our work session and our COVID weekly update. Brian Cowan, go ahead, please, sir.
Great, Commissioner. Thanks for your time today and the opportunity to give you an update on where we're at with our cases. Currently in the Weaver Morgan Health District, we are up to 46,835 COVID positive cases. That's an increase of 973 over what I reported to you last week. And I think the good news for this week in this report is that we are seeing a decline in the number of positive cases. Yeah, our 7-day average is down to 135 new cases a day, and that's a decrease of 19 new cases a day from what we reported last week. So we're optimistic with those numbers. That puts us at 3,149 active cases currently in our health district, but that also is a decrease of 270 active cases from what I reported last week. And active cases are positive cases over the last 14 days. Our deaths in Weaver Morgan have increased to 322. That's an increase of 8 additional deaths from what we reported last week, and all 8 of those were Weaver County residents. As we look at our hospital situation, we're also seeing some improvement in our IC utilization, currently occupying 32 out of normally 30 available beds, so an occupancy of 106%. And then non-ICU related beds, 304 out of 455 in the inventory, or 67%. We have currently 79 total hospitalizations because of COVID. 19 of those are in the ICU. So we are seeing a reduction in our hospital usage from what we reported last week. That's also a good news for this week's report. I just kind of heard you mention, as I jumped onto the meeting, a discussion about vaccinated versus unvaccinated in the hospitals. Right now, we're looking at hospitalized cases total. 84% of the hospitalized cases are unvaccinated individuals. 16% of the hospitalized cases are vaccinated fully vaccinated individuals. that goes back to May 9th, when we started counting this statistic and looking at the breakthrough cases on vaccinations. And those percentages are based off of a total of 644 unvaccinated hospitalizations versus 122 vaccinated hospitalizations. So we're still, well up into the over 80% of the people being hospitalized with COVID illness being unvaccinated individuals. Now, as time goes on, we anticipate that percentage of vaccinated people with hospitalizations to increase, just because the vaccination isn't 100% effective. There's still a risk in vaccinated individuals, but the overall health risk is still greatly reduced. We're looking at 7 times more likely to be hospitalized if you're unvaccinated than vaccinated with COVID. So I think still a lot of good indicators that demonstrate the benefits of vaccinations in reducing your overall risk to COVID.
So Brian, do you ever look at worldwide national statistics?
Commissioner, I have those available, not to me at the moment, and I didn't prepare them for our discussion today because
Yeah, well, it's okay. I just read an article over the weekend that talked about how in other countries that are much higher vaccinated than ours, how the infectious rate is going into the vaccinated at a much higher rate right now. And of course, that makes sense because most of them are vaccinated.
Yeah, correct.
But it just talked about how, they don't know what to think about this whole thing. And it's turning into a little bit of a epidemic of the vaccinated now.
Yeah, yes, I agree. That is a situation we're seeing in our country and other countries in the world. Israel is one that we look at kind of closely because they have such a high rate of vaccinations
Right.
there. And we are seeing, again, that's, a limitation to the effectiveness of vaccines. They are effective, but they're not 100%. And also, I think it illustrates the difficulty of really trying to control a disease entirely. There's only one infectious disease that we've been able to fully eradicate through preventative measures, and that's smallpox. And the next closest to that through public health efforts has been polio. And the polio eradication effort's been very successful, with the exception of a couple of very small isolated areas in India and Pakistan, where again, it's resistance to preventative measures such as vaccination that really is preventing us from eradicating that disease entirely. And I think when we look at this, effort, the pandemic response with COVID over the last 20 months, and our initial attempts were really to try and control the spread of the disease as much as we could and try to isolate it before it became endemic. I think we're seeing that we've kind of missed that mark, and now starting to transition to more how we manage this disease as an endemic disease, meaning it's current in our population, and how we mitigate the risk as individuals to ourselves, and try and limit its spread, just kind of recognizing it will always be here, similar to influenza. The disease it's hard to compare influenza and COVID as directly to each other because they're such different viruses, but there is some indication that we should be able to control COVIDs a little bit better than we do influenzas, just because the coronaviruses don't change their makeup as frequently as influenzas do. And that's where some of our preventative measures like vaccinations and some of the antiviral medications that are being explored right now may help us manage this more effectively in the future.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. Let's see. We covered hospitalizations, I think, and the breakthroughs. Let's jump to schools real quick. We're looking pretty good in our schools again. our active cases in the schools right now, we have 296 total active cases. That's positive in the last 14 days. 240 of those are students, 21 are teachers, and 35 are other staff associated with the schools. That also, those numbers are a reduction from what we reported last week, just a small reduction, 19 students. Excuse me, I'm misreading my notes here. The overall, there's a reduction in teacher cases, but an increase in student cases of 19, but still an overall reduction from what we reported last week. 93 schools reporting at least one positive case. We don't have any schools that have reached the test to stay threshold. And we have 4 schools, 3 elementaries and 1 high school that are at midway to their test to stay threshold. So again, numbers are being managed very effectively at the schools and helping us, the efforts that we have with our staff, working with the school district staff, or the staff at the private or charter schools are really helping to minimize the impact that this is having on schools this year. So happy with that. We currently have 1,597 students that we've asked to quarantine, meaning that they've been exposed to a positive case. And that's a decrease of 659 from what we reported last week. Shifting now to our vaccination efforts. Over the last week, we've been able to offer vaccinations to our 5 to 11-year-old populations. Those efforts started, and we've been able to administer 1,300 vaccinations to the 5 to 11-year-olds so far. That's about 6.5% of our 5 to 11-year-old population. We've scheduled the school clinics and other. We offer appointments here at the health department on a daily basis for people to have access to those vaccinations for their kids, as well as our community partners, the pharmacies and doctors' offices. Some of them are able to administer those vaccinations to the 5 to 11-year-olds as well. So we're looking good on our efforts there, I think. Had a little bit of a hiccup last week with a couple of the school clinics where we asked parents to schedule appointments and then staffed them. We're working with a state partner on these clinics, NOMI Health. We don't have access to as much of the National Guard that we've had in the past to help us with these clinics, or to the medical reserve volunteers. So we're using a private partner, NOMI Health, and working with them. We had 2 schools that we just understaffed. We looked at based on appointments and kind of underestimated the amount of walk-ins that we had at those facilities. So we were still able to offer the vaccinations and get people the vaccinations that stayed there to get them. But there was a couple of schools where we had about an hour or a little bit longer than an hour wait for some of the people that came to the clinic. So we hope to have a better grasp on that over the next few weeks as we continue to do these school clinics. But as we look at the rest of our community being vaccinated, still about 1.2% growth in the uptake of the 12 to 18, the 19 to 29, and the 30 to 39-year-olds. So our percentage is increasing of that population being vaccinated. We're at the point now in Weber County where 52.3% of our population has been fully vaccinated. So, and that's including all ages. If we break down between eligible and uneligible, 63.3% of the eligible have received at least 1 dose of vaccination. So I think things are moving along, and we're making progress. Which is,
I thought we was a little closer to 70% than that, Brian.
if we look at, we were a week ago, Commissioner, because we were closer to 70% with eligible. But over the last week, we've added the 5 to 11-year-olds to the eligible
So that,
population. So it
yeah,
increases
waters
the
it down.
total number. Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's the drop in percentage.
So without them, without the 5 to 11-year-olds, we are at, in the 70s or real close to it.
Real close to it. Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Good to know. That's great. Commissioners, any other questions for Mr. Cowan?
Yeah, Brian, so you talk about the 4 schools
Uh-huh.
that are a halfway point to test to stay. Are
Yes.
they the same schools? We talked, I think, about the same 3 or 4, or are we changing the schools that are getting close to that 1%? I just
No,
wondered if we get same
They change
school.
from week to week because we monitor those schools, the school numbers for a 14-day period. So each day cases drop off and new cases are added. And as schools start to get those cases, we work with the school staff to get messaging out to the parents. The parents are doing a pretty good job of keeping their kids home that are having symptoms of illness. It's changing the schools each week because
Okay.
information out, parents are helping keep kids home. Numbers drop down at those schools that were a little higher, but other schools that haven't had that number of cases will add a few more and they'll get closer to their midway threshold. So.
Okay, if it was the same schools and I said, you could probably concentrate on some education for those 3, but it sounds like it's changing week to week, so.
Yeah, it does. And I do think that's a reflection of our education efforts that we are trying to do now as we
Yeah.
see cases start to grow.
Good. Great. Commissioner Jenkins, any questions?
No, Brian, good report.
Thank you,
Brian, do
Commissioner.
you have any questions for any of us?
I do not, but thanks for the opportunity to report to you on how things are going.
Appreciate that. Very good, commissioners. Okay, that concludes our discussion today.
Thanks,
Is there
Brian.
anything else you have?
No, I'm good.
I will just letting you know that I will be meeting with the Utah Defense Alliance on Wednesday morning. If you have anything you'd like me to take to that board at 7:30, that'll be out at Weber. The Weber Water Conservancy, Weber-based Water Conservancy. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm adjourned. Thank you.